If I had $1 for every time that someone online pressed their thumb into the conflict and muttered things like, "Who cares? Let it go. Why are you still talking about this?" My toddler would be unwrapping one of those Yoto thingies on Christmas morning without me checking our budget twice. People make these comments the way that you swat a gnat: quick, mildly annoyed, thoughtless, reflexive. But I want to slow that reflex down. Slow it down long enough to consider what it actually means to say, "Who cares?" What they're really saying is, "This doesn't matter to me, therefore it shouldn't matter to anyone else." And maybe that's okay if we're talking about petty internet drama, but what if we're not? What if the thing being dismissed is someone's story, someone's identity? My goal here isn't to be condescending. I don't want to make anyone feel small. If anything, I want to make you feel bigger, 10 feet tall, like you can see the horizon and not just the tiny patch of ground beneath your feet. In the realm of independent journalism, your viewership is power. Your clicks, your subscriptions, your trust, that is the currency that reporters trade on. You are the accountability. You're the journalism police. There's no HR department for YouTubers. There's no ombudsman. There's only you. And right now, several 100,000 people either don't know or don't care that something deeply personal, deeply invasive, and deeply wrong has been happening behind the scenes. So let me take you inside of it, not as a lecture, not as a takedown, but as an opportunity to experience how things might have looked from Christina's perspective. You know, and I know that I'm not Christina, that this is not her actual account of what happened. It's just me looking at the puzzle pieces that we have from the other side of the puzzle and trying to put myself in her shoes. I want you to join me. I want you to visualize yourself in her situation. Before any accusations, before any police calls, before the stalking injunction, there was a friendship. A normal one, or so you thought. The kind where you exchange memes at midnight and share detailed voice notes about the small humiliations of daily life, the toilet paper that stuck to your shoe after using the restroom at your kid's dentist appointment, the weird smell in the garage, the way you accidentally bought the wrong size jeans and gaslit yourself into believing that you didn't. But one night, in a quiet pocket of vulnerability, you told her something real, something that you don't tell people casually. Maybe you told her that you secretly hate the holidays, not because of stress or money, but because of something that happened when you were younger, something that made your stomach twist whenever those December lights went up. She said she understood. She said, "That must have been so hard." She said all the right things that friends say when they hold your words gently. But then, a few nights later, you're out together with mutual friends. You know the kind of evening. Low lighting, scattered laughter, half-empty glasses, the easy, casual comfort of people that you think you know. The table starts talking about holiday plans. People are joking about shopping and in-laws and how early is too early to decorate. You go quiet, not because you want attention, but because silence feels safer than pretending. And suddenly, she jumps in, but not with her story, with yours. Lowering her volume, leaning inward, she tells everyone at the table that she secretly dreads the holidays. She went through something uncomfortable as a preteen. She had drunken uncles who crossed boundaries. The words come out of her mouth, "wearing your clothes." Your brain freezes, a soft, stunned paralysis. It's disorienting. She keeps talking, her voice steady, her tone casual, practiced even. You feel the room fold in on itself. You're sitting there, listening to someone you trusted slip into your vulnerability like an oversized sweater. Maybe she misunderstood what you told her. Maybe she forgot who the story belonged to. Maybe you're being too sensitive. Maybe it doesn't matter because the others don't know that it's about you. You swallow all that discomfort because swallowing discomfort is a skill you've had to learn over time. And you try earnestly to just let it go. Then her husband arrives, keys jingling, jacket half zipped, asking how everyone's doing, ready to drive you both home. As you're buckling your seatbelt, she tells him the same story. Your story, with her name attached. You sit there in the back seat, staring at the blur of streetlights outside the window, trying not to feel the creeping wrongness. Why would she do that? What does she get out of it? Is this normal? So, you give her the benefit of the doubt, the kind that only a good heart or maybe a naive one can give. You tell yourself that you're imagining things. You tell yourself everyone has quirks. You tell yourself not to make a big deal out of something that might not be one. You let the moment pass, but the moment doesn't let you. Once you notice one red flag, you start to see more. She always seemed to have drama with someone, always a falling out, always a story about how someone betrayed her or turned out crazy. When people drifted away from the group, she always had gossip ready. Not little things either, full-on character assassinations. And slowly, the question crept in. What does she say about you when you're not around? One day, you find out. A mutual friend tells you that there's talk going around. Unflattering talk, mean talk. You feel your heart sink to your stomach. Not because you need her to like you, but because you've been honest with her, kind, vulnerable. And it feels like someone used your softness as sandpaper. You allow some distance to grow in your friendship. The next time that you see her, she comes at you with this huge theatrical hug, like she's on stage, like she's making sure the whole room sees just how close you two are. Arms wide, face bright, volume turned up too high. But something inside of you refuses to play along. Your body stiffens, your arms stay by your sides. Your voice lowers to something that only she can hear. I know what you said, you whisper. It wasn't kind. It's not okay. Gossip has consequences. She goes rigid, just for the smallest heartbeat-long moment. Then she turns up the brightness like the cameras are rolling. Okay, well, we'll catch up later. Too loud, too cheerful, too rehearsed. You watch her walk away with that bouncing, performative energy, and again your stomach sinks, because whatever you thought this friendship was, it isn't that. Later that afternoon, she sends the world's longest centograph, half defense, half apology, half spiritual sanctimony. Mathematically impossible, but emotionally accurate. You respond politely, directly, because that's who you are. You think the conversation is over. You really believe that it is, until another text arrives later that evening. And this one feels different, cold, detached. She accuses you of talking about her, and she demands silence. She claims she feels unsafe. You blink at your phone. You reread the message twice. All at once, the absurdity hits you. The person who has been talking about you behind your back is accusing you of making her feel threatened. You respond directly, calmly. You want clarity. You want resolution. But before you even finish typing your next message, you're blocked. That electric jolt of being silenced while innocent is a feeling you don't forget. So, you email her, a last attempt to resolve this with maturity and transparency and honesty. You sigh, you breathe, you move on, and you think, that has to be the end. Within days, people from Nevada law enforcement start calling you. Are you involved in cyberstalking, hacking? We've received information. Your chest tightens, your throat goes dry. You've done nothing wrong. You know you've done nothing wrong. But someone is rewriting reality in your name. And now, official records are memorializing the fiction. You withdraw to reflect. You paint, you journal, you pick at the threads of memory. You start to see all the little ways that you ignored your instincts to keep the peace. You start realizing how many adults don't know how to exit toxic friendships because no one teaches us how. There's no handbook titled, How to Know When Your Friend Might Become Your Accuser. And something inside of you clicks. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise, an opportunity to turn your grief into something bigger than yourself, a lesson, a warning, a place for people to feel less alone. TikTok becomes an expressive outlet, a creative space to speak truths without naming names, and you set rules for yourself. No faces, no identifying details, respectful, even if a little petty. Your videos resonate. People comment, oh my God, this happened to me too. I thought it was just me. I didn't have the words until now. You find your voice, but she finds hers too, in the form of more allegations and more police calls and more attempts to paint you as something you're not. Your plane lands in Colorado for CrimeCon, a trip you've planned for over a year. A rare escape you've prepared for months. You line up childcare, you refill travel toiletries, you scrub water bottles and pack snacks, and do all the mom things that make rest feel well earned. Your kids are safe, your husband's got everything covered, and you are excited. You had boarded the plane, eager to see your friend group. Carefully, you place the bag containing your good camera in the overhead storage compartment. CrimeCon is an important networking opportunity to connect with media outlets who need good freelance photographers. Your heart feels light, hopeful even. Your phone turns back on when you land, and there's a text from your husband. All good, but check your email. You laugh. You think maybe he forgot a permission slip or a birthday invitation. With your camera bag slung over your shoulder, you drag your suitcase through the terminal. You feel that Colorado air crisp and new. You check your email and everything stops. Temporary civil stalking injunction. Your vision gets blurry. Your hands go cold and numb. You read the document twice, 3 times. How is this happening? What narrative did she give the judge? You go to the police station hoping for guidance, for clarity, but all anyone can say is, unfortunately, we're not allowed to give you legal advice. These are questions for your attorney. What attorney? You're a mom at a true crime convention. You're not from Colorado. You're not even sure what law you've supposedly broken or what kind of attorney you'd need or how to find one at 4 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. You leave the police station more confused than when you arrived. Your friends rally around you, and together you form a plan. If you see her, you stay 500 feet away. This resort is huge. It'll be fine. The following day starts out well. The plan is working. You're staying alert, but minding your own business and trying to be a good steward of your premium VIP ticket. Around 3 p.m., Aurora PD reaches out. They ask to speak in private. You follow them down a hallway that smells like industrial cleaner and vanilla air freshener. Your throat is dry. The butterflies in your stomach are fluttering with hope. Finally, clarity. Finally, answers. Except what they tell you is worse than silence. According to this order, you're not allowed to be at this CrimeCon event. You blink. You wait for the explanation, but it doesn't come. But I haven't spoken to her in almost 5 months, and even then, she contacted me. I haven't seen her. I don't even know if she's here. But it doesn't matter. They say that you can be in the hotel, but not the event spaces. They say that if she enters an area where you're already sitting, you have to leave. Wait. So she could follow me around and kick me out of every room just by showing up? Unfortunately, that's a question for your attorney. In that moment, your reality fractures. This isn't about truth. It isn't about law. It isn't about safety. It's about power and leverage and narrative. And you, the person who did nothing wrong, are being shoved into the role of villain. You've never stalked anyone. You've never harassed anyone. You've never even contacted her again after the night of the block. You respected the boundary that she demanded, but she keeps publicly feeding this narrative, and her followers eat it up without question. You are the villain in her story now, a story that she keeps adding to, a story that you can't correct because you have no platform, a story that you can't counter because she blocked you. You're basically locked out of your own defense. And that's when the fear settles in, not melodramatic fear, but the creeping weight that sits in your bones, the kind that whispers, what if this gets worse? You don't know how far she'll escalate, but the dread is already there, quiet and persistent and heavy. The strangest part is that life goes on. You still get up in the morning, you still answer emails, you still make breakfast, run errands, create art, and live a life that looks normal from the outside. But something inside of you has shifted. Not broken, just rearranged itself, tilted. You carry a new awareness everywhere you go. Someone else is telling a story about you, and people believe it. They believe it because she has a microphone, because she has an audience, because she knows how to speak with certainty, because reporter sounds like authority, because content creator means trusted source. In a world where people sometimes confuse confidence with truth. And you don't have a microphone. You don't have a platform. You don't have a built-in audience ready to defend you. All you have is the truth and the terrible realization that truth means nothing if the people listening have already picked a side. You think about all the people who brush this off as drama, as gossip, as mean girl energy, or everybody sucks here, as something unserious. But there is nothing unserious about being labeled a stalker. There's nothing petty about being painted as a threat. There's nothing trivial about waking up every day wondering how many strangers think you're dangerous because someone with a video camera said so over 400 times to hundreds upon thousands of people. There is nothing childish about reputational violence, and yet so many people dismissed it because it's easier to believe the person who speaks the loudest than to sit with the discomfort of nuance. Easier to call it drama than to interrogate our own biases. Easier to trust the storyteller than to consider the person being turned into the story, the carnage that becomes the content. You never wanted a fight, you never wanted a feud, you never wanted a narrative, you just wanted to be left alone. But when someone rewrites your life in real time, you don't get to stay silent. Silence becomes surrender. Silence becomes permission. Silence becomes complicity in your own erasure. So here you are, not because you wanted to speak, but because someone else forced your voice into existence by trying to take it away. And now you understand something that you wish you didn't. Sometimes the most dangerous thing in the world is an overconfident storyteller with a grudge. If you're watching this, I need you to hear this wisdom clearly, because someday you might want to share it with others. Do not mistake volume for truth. Do not confuse charisma with credibility. Do not hand blind trust to someone just because they call themselves a reporter. Investigate, question, consider context, listen to more than one voice. And when you see interpersonal conflict labeled as petty trauma, ask yourself, who benefits from it being minimized? Whose pain is easier to ignore if you call it gossip? Whose reputation becomes disposable if you dismiss the story outright? We're living in a world where reputations can be destroyed in seconds, narratives spread faster than facts, and people with platforms can reshape reality while everyone else watches passively. Don't be a passive watcher. Don't let someone weaponize your trust to harm someone that you've never even met. Don't allow entertainment to override empathy, because the next time a story like this unfolds, the next person swallowed by a false narrative, it might be someone you know, it might be someone you love, it might even be you. I want to encourage you to choose curiosity over certainty. Choose humanity over spectacle. Choose truth, even when it's quiet, over lies that come dressed as content. And above all, stop letting the people with the cameras decide who the villains are, because they're not always telling you the whole story. Until the next one, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and take care of our community. I love you.